What up, YouTube? Today we're going to be doing a directed 535T installation on my '03 Lincoln Town Car, fully automatic Windows system. So I'm going to let my son explain how to wire it up, and then I'm going to go get to installing it on the car. Stay tuned.
Hi YouTube, here's a finished 535T, and here is an unopened box, and we're getting ready to prepare this to put in the car, and here's some of the tools you're gonna need. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and open this box and see what it comes with, if I can get it open. So here is the description, and here's Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. That was a little heavy. And we got the actual module itself, and I think that's it. So we're going to go ahead and take this out of the bag and get these wiring out of these wire things, and we're going to hook these up to the module. So now that we got all these out, we're going to straighten them so that we can plug them in. If I can do this. Just get an eye. Alright guys, this is a hard work for a 10-year-old. So we're gonna go ahead and do this last one. And what? So guys, when you're straightening these wires out, you don't want to hold this because you could literally pop the wires right out. So you want to hold it right under it so you don't pop the wires out. So we're gonna go ahead and plug these in now. So this right next to the dip switches is where you put your small gauge harness into. So we're gonna go ahead and plug that in. Alright, there we go. So when you're plugging these wires in, guys, you wanna make sure the clip is facing up and push it until you hear a click. Like that. Now we're gonna plug in the final connector. The click is what we're looking here for, guys. There we go. So here's the wiring diagram, and there's two modes. 2 window mode and 4 window mode. And 2 window mode has a little bit more than 4 window mode does because it comes with 1 touch control and a vent mode. And 4 is more of a security than a luxury like mode 2 is. So on our project, we're going to be using a 2 window mode on a 4 window car. So if you're doing the same, you're going to need 2 535Ts. So here on harness 2, we're going to be cutting the wires that we don't need. And this 5th gray wire, all it does is bypass sensors that might trigger your alarm when you're using it. So we're going to go ahead and cut that because we don't need it. Strong wire, guys. Here we go. Moving on to harness 3, we're going to cut wire 5, this brown wire, in my hands. So this wire right here rules up the windows when the siren goes off, but we're not going to be needing it because the windows will already be up when the system is armed. So we're going to go ahead and cut this gray and black wire here because all this wire does is delay the back windows until the front windows are halfway. And we don't want it because we want all our windows to go down at the exact same time. We're going to go ahead and cut that now. Like I said, leave a few inches in case you need that in the future. Up next, this is gray and red wire, aka the stop wire. So we're not going to be needing it because the module during programming will remember how much time it takes to go up and down. So we really don't need this wire. And I'm going to cut this. bigger. Just kidding. So that's all the wires we're going to be cutting, and we're going to be organizing these wires so we can have a clean installation. In order for a motor to work, it needs a power and a ground. So the 2 whites and the 2 purples are 4 grounds for each window, and the black wire you see here is the ground for the module. So we're going to go ahead and twist these wires here so it's nice and clean.
Go back. No. Pull it tight.
Okay.
And then do it. Oh.
So after you twist up the wires, this is what it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and tape it every few inches. So there's 2 wires on each door that need to be cut. And these 2 white and brown wires, these skinny wires on harness 2, they go to the switch side. There's 2 browns and 2 whites. The striped ones go to the rear, and the non-striped ones go to the front. Same thing over here. So the striped wires go to the rear, and the non-striped wires go to the front. And blue is up, and green is down. These blue and green wires that I just mentioned go to the motor side. The switch side wires, white is for down, and brown is for up. You got the same wires again with no stripes, and these go to the front door. So we got 3 more wires to go over, and this red bulky wire goes to the module, and you need 12 volts for this wire. So this red and white wire here connects to the remote starter and sends signals for the windows to go down. So this last wire here also connects to the remote starter and sends signals for the windows to go up when the system is on. So these 3 wires that I just talked about are going to go to the front with the front door wires. So we're going to grab all those, and all these are going to go together. So the cut wires we taped with all the other bundles just to give it a cleaner look. Remember how many wires we started with? Now we have 3. That's a lot more manageable. Now that we all got these wires twisted and taped, it's ready to install in the car. See you out there.
Alright, it's Andy here again. So I went ahead and popped off the B pillar inside the car. We're starting on the passenger side, and I've got the module mounted inside of the B pillar with a couple of zip ties. I'm hoping that this little cover will go back on most of the way, even with those zip ties. We'll have to see. Then I've got all of the wires routed down through this hole, and all of them except for this group here with the stripes, all of these are going to end up going through this, so they're pretty much just going to go straight through. The wires go in right around here, kind of in the middle. You can kind of see it there. So we're going to route those all the way over here. All I've done so far is tape off the B pillar, and I popped this trim piece with the ashtray and the window switch out of the door. And ultimately, there is a red and yellow wire and a yellow and red wire. I'm kind of touching them both right here with my finger. Those are the ones we're going to want to connect to for the window, but we're probably going to end up connecting to them farther down here into the door. So I do have to take this door panel off, but this is essentially how we're going to be mounting the 535Ts into the vehicle. They're actually going to be inside of the pillar. Otherwise the seat belt is going to rub against it big time if I mount it on the outside. And then this way we don't have to worry about whether the trim panel is going to fit back on or not, and the wires can just go right to the 2 doors like they're supposed to. The wires that go towards the front, I am going to have to go ahead and extend these wires because they're not going to reach all the way up to the places I need them to. And then this group right here, I'm probably going to end up cutting it shorter and then just drilling a hole somewhere in this general area and grounding it there. Alright, so it was quite a pain in the ass, but I was able to get these rear door wires through this here. You can kind of see it inside here as well. Just coming down from the module right in there with the rest of the wires. And then I'm going to stuff this into the door for now. I'm going to get this door panel off at some point so we can connect these up. Alright, so hacking up the car is not my favorite thing to do, and I do try to avoid it whenever possible. However, I didn't really want to omit these rubber pieces completely But in order to get this to fit properly, I did have to modify this by cutting some of it out and separating the pieces. Had to make a little room for my zip ties here. I'm sure I could have worked around this by, you know, changing the angle of the zip tie or something. But this, there's no way that was going to work. And I think that, considering that that's not how it's supposed to be, I think it still looks relatively professional and factory. And then I've got our front wires here zip tied along the factory harness. I do need to cut that excess off, but otherwise we're going to go ahead and take this. This is all of our grounds, and then we're going to cut that a little shorter, and we'll probably ground it up somewhere in this general area. Alright, so I went ahead and popped it up just a little bit on the front here, and I'm going to go ahead and route these front wires up in this direction. If you look here, there's a little opening in the factory harness plastic housing deal. There's a whole bunch of wires inside this plastic thing, but I'm not going to open that up and route it through there just because that seems like a lot. But I will be able to at least put it through this little loop here in the plastic. Then I need to extend these wires, and then I'll probably go down in this little cavity on the inner side of that, and then we'll route it up here, and then we'll bring them back up around here for the wires that go to the door. And we'll probably still bring them up here, but then we're going to have to come across the dash or under the carpet to reach the remote starter and the 12-volt constant. Alright, so I've got the door panel off here, and I've got the moisture barrier kind of taped up, because it was real nice and sticky at the top, and I didn't want to mess that up, so it'd still fall perfectly back into place. The door panel has one screw down here at the bottom. There's two screws up here at the top towards the door pull. You just have to pry off the little clips around those. And then there's Phillips screws behind the two golden colored clips or whatever on there. And then right here by the door handle, there's another clip you got to pull off with a Torx screw behind it. And then it's just a bunch of those little push pins. I can show you the door panel here. You got to disconnect these two connectors. There's a bunch of these little push pins. There's one screw that comes through the bottom. Then there's two screws that come through here at the top for the door pull, and then this one Torx screw that comes through the middle. So we've got our blue and our green connected to the motor side of the wire. These wires, the red and yellow, they just came into this connector, but I cut them, and I connected the blue and the green to the motor side, and I connected the white and brown to the switch side. These wires go up towards the switch. Your blue and your brown go to the yellow wire with the red stripe, and then your white and green goes to the red wire with the yellow stripe, and the skinny wires go towards the switch, and the thicker wires go towards the motor. I got that all taped up, nice and professional, looks halfway decent and clean. Also put some tape anywhere where I feel that the wire might come in contact with sharp metal, just to avoid any chafing from vibrations and all of that. So if you trust your connections are good, you can probably go ahead and put your door panel back on at this point. But if you want to make sure everything's good to go before you do that, I can completely respect that decision as well. Alright, so we got the door panel back on. This is what I was talking about. There's a screw on each side of the door pull, and then they have these little covers that kind of pop on and off. You just kind of pull them on, pull them off. You be careful with it though, because they can break kind of easy. There's another screw here with a little cover in front of it. You also want to be very careful, because those are kind of like gold on this car, and you don't want to lose that little cover. And then there's another screw hidden down here in the carpet, and that's pretty much it, other than the clips, and then of course your ashtray and window switch. Alright, so back here in the B pillar, we got all those ground wires connected to one ring terminal, and we got a bolt through there. We got the paint sanded down, so we're pretty much done inside of the passenger B pillar. We got all of these wires extended. The red and white and red are just red now, and I've got it over here marked with tape. I got all of these wires routed across under the carpet instead of up under the dash because that seems easier. This carpet's so thick too, you're not going to notice that it's under there. And then I went under the dash here. You can kind of see my wires. I went just behind the floor vent here. And then the wires popped out the other side. Here's the two that need to get connected to the remote starter, and then here's the 12 volt. My remote starter is actually right behind this piece of carpet, so I'm gonna have to take that out, take a bracket out to get to it. And then the 12 volt wire is gonna be connected right behind this panel here at the 12 volt constants on the ignition harness. All right, so it looks kind of like a mess in there, to be honest with you, and I swear I did as good a job as I could keeping it clean, but when you have all these wires, sometimes it can be a little difficult. Anyway, the yellow wire, as you can see, there's two yellow wires. That yellow wire connects to the orange wire on the remote starter, or at least most of them. If you have a Viper, that's what it's going to be. And that wire is going to roll the windows up when you hit the lock button. So the one yellow wire going to the back there is for the passenger side. Since I knew I was going to need extensions for the driver's side as well, I went ahead and attached both of those wires. And then I've got the ground when armed as well as the auxiliary one. Ground when armed is the yellow one. That's going to be to roll the windows up whenever the lock button is pressed. And then the red one is actually red and white on the module, and that's going to be the auxiliary one, or the roll the windows down wire. So I've got those all routed across the dash here, and they kind of come to roughly this point. And the wires from the driver door module, once they get put in the B pillar, they should be able to connect right here. And then once we get to the driver's side, we just connect up in the rear door, connect up in the front door, and then connect to these wires. And we really shouldn't have to pull the dash apart again for the driver's side wires, because I've already got those extensions connected. I guess I should mention up here, I also took the red wire from the passenger side and went ahead and connected that on in over here. So we have our 12 volt wire connected to one of these yellow wires for the ignition harness in the town car. Any of those going into this gray box here that's yellow will work. And then we've got that 12 volt wire routed around here as well. So for the driver's side module, we're going to have the 12 volts, the roll up and the roll down wires ready to go. All right, so behind this little piece of carpet, there's a bracket with 4 13 millimeters holding it on, and I've located my remote starter right behind that. And then there's 2 7 millimeters, one that goes in here and holds a plastic panel on, as well as the parking brake release lever. Then there's another one on this side, and then behind that plastic panel is this metal plate, and there's 5 screws that hold it on. And then you can get access to your wires. So I'm getting these put back on now. All right, so I've got my wires all routed through on the passenger front door, got the wires cut, got the connections made, pretty much the exact same process as the rear door. The door panel comes off pretty much the same. There is a 3rd screw on the bottom, but that's pretty much the only difference between taking this apart and the other door. And you do have to take the speaker out to get access to the wiring. I do recommend zip tying it on the inside of this window track so it doesn't interfere with the window. So now I believe we're ready for programming to see if this side will work. All right, so I've got the other module mounted in here, except this time it's upside down as compared to how we did it on the other side. So I have the single zip tie at the top, or the single ear, and then the wires all point towards the bottom. And because of the way that I have this set up, I didn't actually have to cut this one because it was upside down. On the other side, I had to have it that way so that the front wires would go forward, but on this one it works out where I didn't really have to cut this. And then we're going to ground our ground somewhere in here. We've already got that made. We've got our front wires routed. We've got our rear wires pushed in through the door, and I'll show you those connections once we get the door off. And then I've gone ahead and extended our lock wires to go up to the front door. And then these 3 wires are our power and our ground when armed and our auxiliary wire. And I've got all of that tucked under the carpet right here on the deeper inner channel there. So now I just got to connect up the 2 doors. Then we'll connect our ground when armed, our auxiliary. Of course, don't forget our ground and then our power. All right, here we are on the driver's side still. We got the ground sanded and connected. I'm gonna go ahead and put the B pillar back on. All right, we got the driver rear door panel off. We got painter's tape on the moisture barrier. That way we can keep it kind of sticky at the top and it'll just fall right back into place. And then here's our window wires that we want to cut right here. This is what it's going to look like before you cut them. I got my wires routed through. I got them zip tied to this wire here, and then I kind of got them zip tied to the wires there. You just got to watch out for the window track. Make sure that your wires are going below that and they're zip tied to the factory harness. Now our wires are all connected, taped up, and looking good. All right, here we are in the driver door. We got the yellow and white and black wire cut this time. The driver door is the only door that has different color wiring than the rest. Kind of same with the door trigger as well. The driver door just has different colors for whatever reason. But we've got the white wire connected to the switch side of yellow. Our brown wire is connected to the switch side of white and black. Our green is connected to the motor side of yellow. And our blue is connected to the motor side of white and black. Now we can put the door panel back on. All right, so I just finished removing all the wires that I had routed and extended into the door here. And we got everything cleaned up over here. So now we only have the 3 ground wires instead of 5. And I cut the wires that go to the front. So now this module in the driver's side B pillar is only controlling the driver rear window. All right, so just a quick recap of where we're at here. I don't know if I've filmed certain things or not because this project has taken me forever to figure out everything that's going on. But right now we've got a 535T module wired up in all 4 doors. Well, the rear ones are in the B pillar still and the front ones are in the front doors because I just for whatever reason the front circuit blew out and stopped putting out voltage, and I didn't want to rewire the whole thing. So instead of getting 2 new ones and wiring it up for the whole car, I just got 2 new ones and I hooked them up to the front doors only. Then I was having trouble with the wiring, or where it wouldn't, the window on the front would not go up all the way with the key fob. It only would with it running, and I think that was because of a voltage issue. So I'm gonna flip. Right here is where my battery is. The positive battery connects, and then it goes directly over here to the fuse box. So I connected a wire here, and then I just routed it across the door here, just kind of loosely for testing purposes. And I brought it over here and connected it to my front door module, or the front window module for this door, and it's worked like a champ. It's worked like 15 times in a row. So I'm happy with that. It's finally working. Just wanted to update you guys. We've got a window module in for each door. The front ones are in the doors, the rear ones are in the B pillars, and the rear ones are good to go. They aren't having any issues at all. Those are powered up by an ignition wire under the dash, under the steering wheel. That's the same circuit that's powering the remote starter as well as my bypass module. But for these front 2 windows, I'm going to have to route a separate power wire, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I went ahead and ordered some 8-gauge power wire, and I'm going to connect it right here at the fuse box. And I would just go straight across to here, but I don't like the way that's going to look cleanliness wise. So I'm going to bring it around here with this battery wire, and then it's going to come down, and then it's going to go up this wire, and then it's going to follow up here by the alternator, and it's going to continue to follow that wire, and then it's going to pop out over here and go back. And it's going to follow along this wiring harness here, and then I'm going to bring it back over this way, and it's ultimately going to come over through here and then it's going to go through this same spot that my other wires went, and then it's going to be directed back across to the passenger side, and then I'm just going to connect both the driver's side and the passenger side to the same wire. I may even solder them up on this, but I'm not sure just yet on that. But I'm going to go ahead and start routing this wire. All right, now I got my rough routing all done. This is our end. This is where it's going to be connected. And I got it routed around this way, going down, over towards the alternator, under the air cleaner, across these wires, down over here, into the vehicle. And then it's going to come down. Let me turn my light on for you. Motel 6, baby. And then you can kind of see where it comes down here. I got a little bit of slack over here so that this power wire can connect. You can kind of see that connector there with the blue end on it. That's going to have to connect somehow. And then I've got it routed across under the carpet, under the HVAC box. And it pops out right over there next to the other connector. So our rough routing is done, and then I've got some wire loom, or what is this, conduit cover stuff, whatever. I got some of this, a couple bags of it to put around certain spots where it touches the engine and everything, just to make it look cleaner and prevent it from getting burned or something like that. So I'm going to make my connections and put this stuff on right now. All right, so we got that connection made here at the fuse box. Unfortunately, because I didn't want to unplug the battery from the fuse box and potentially cause some issues with something being disconnected that shouldn't be, and then I got to program some shit or something like that, I just put another nut on top with my ring terminal. Excuse me guys, I got the hiccups. But anyway, this didn't want to go back on all the way, but it's on there pretty snug. It's just not on by the little clip, but I could maybe find a lower profile nut one of these days, or if I ever have the battery disconnected or something like that, then maybe I'll mess with that. But I think it's fine for now. We got that wire conduit on here, and I'll kind of follow the routing for you so you can see how I put it along. Pretty much the same as before, and just has that conduit on there, and it's coming around through here, down below, and into the vehicle. And on the inside, I went ahead and soldered it up because I didn't have any crimp connectors for an 8-gauge wire. And now when I lock the doors, it finally goes up all the way. This will be the 17th time in a row that it's worked, so I'd say we've fixed the problem. Now we just got the driver's side and we'll be done. All right, so here we are outside again. We got the driver door off. I finally got a new driver door module so my locks work again after screwing that up with the remote start system. I don't know if I showed you guys. I think I've mentioned so far in the video that I've got a separate window module for each door. This door module is right behind here inside the door. I took the speaker out, mounted it up, zip tied it in here, and then I put that back on. So we finally got everything working, and I'll try to show you guys. It's a little weird with this driver front one though. Let me grab the right keys. Sorry guys. That's the wrong one, of course. Okay, I'm gonna do it on a different clip where it's a little wider for you guys to see. Of course, the wide lens doesn't show you any light, but you can see that the windows went down. We'll hit unlock so you can see that they just went down, all 4 windows, and then I hit lock and then they start going up. This one doesn't have the delay though, which is weird. The driver front, it's super weird, but that one went back up all the way. I'm sorry once again that the light's not working. We'll unlock the door one more time. You guys can see these go down. Well, hold on, it doesn't like it when you do it immediately after unlocking. There we go, windows going down. And then that one's got like a weird delay. It's not in sync with the rest of them for some weird reason, but when you lock it, they go up all the way. So it's finally freaking working.
So this wire right here rolls up the windows when the siren goes off.
That's all right.
Go ahead and cut this gray and black wire, because all this wire does is delay the back windows when the front wire went.
That's all right.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut this gray and black wire, because this wire delays the back windows when until, oh my god.
Oh, just kidding.
So after you twist up these wires,
That's going to be the end of the video for today, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. That one was definitely a difficult one to figure out for sure, but finally got it all working after having to buy 2 extra modules and a big 8-gauge power wire. That finally got it done. Hope you all enjoyed my son's presentation of how to wire it up, as well as the funny bloopers section if you made it this far. Also, please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and like and comment on this video. And otherwise, I will see you next time. This is Andy, signing off.